Okay, so since we are running the entire revision of the entire course. Okay, so emphasis will be given mainly on your doubts. Okay, so instead of myself posing a specific question and then or taking a specific topic, it will be beneficial if you start discussing any of your doubts or any of the topics that you want me to repeat. Okay, so be flexible in terms of switching within the course syllabus in any course. Okay, and of course for the second internal examination, which is the theory internal examination, you will have a portion which is confined to unit 5 and the second part of unit 3. So if anybody has any specific doubts, can somebody acknowledge that my voice is audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Shivateja K16, what is your roll number? Shivateja,
45, sir.
45. Okay, fine. So I'm again repeating, anybody have any specific doubts? Anybody wants me to repeat any specific topic? Nested structures is not that, I mean, you don't have to look into specifically the examples of nested structures, because nested structures um, is an introductory topic which will be probably asked in first semester. Anyway, what you have to remember is you have to use the nested structure by using a double dot. Okay, so the first class name or the order of the structure instances. For example, if you are writing a structure, let us say structure S1, and inside that you have another structure S2, and then inside that you have data, let us say X. Then if you are creating an instance, let us say capital S1, small s1, capital S2, small s2, then S1 dot S2 dot X. That's it. So nested structures, not necessary, it is not necessary to focus um, with a long answer questions as the examples. Okay, because this course is basically on object oriented principles, object oriented programming principles. Okay, so I'm again repeating, in unit 1 I have listed some of the questions which is there on your screens now. If anybody wants any question that needs to be repeated, you can take up and then you can ask me a specific any specific question. So there are 12 questions which I have.
అంత సీన్ లేదు పబ్జి ఆడుతున్నాడు చూడు.
Somebody is saying something in PUBG, something. Yes. Okay. So I have started recording the session. There are 25 students participants, and those who have not yet entered your roll number, use the chat box, enter your roll number so that I can consolidate the today's attendees, today's attendance, and then I can update the same to the department. Okay. So making sure that you are entering the roll number. You are entering the roll number. The last three digits of roll number in the chat box. Okay. Fine. So anybody has any specific doubts in unit 1 till unit 5? As of now, I have accepted contents of unit 1. I mean, the focused questions of unit 1. Let us stick to unit 1 now. Okay. Nobody is speaking. Somebody has to tell. If everybody is well versed about the concepts, then I will ask some of the questions and I'll ask you to answer. Okay. Anybody wants any topic to be repeated from unit 1? Fine. So let me take up one question. Probably, okay. What is the difference between a member function and a general function? Yes. Month, roll number 13. What is the difference between a member function and a general function? Okay, anybody can come in. Yes.
Member function is related to class.
Somebody is speaking, it is very, very low. Your voice is very low. Yeah. Member function
Member function is related to class.
is related to class.
Defined, defined inside a class.
Okay.
General function can be defined
Your voice is not clear. Anybody else? Yes. What is the difference between somebody said about member function is something which is defined inside the class? Okay, that is correct. What about the general function? General function is
directly called in the main.
okay. So general function is normally called in main.
Global, globally
Global.
declared.
Globally declared. Okay. Let me put the other way. Is it possible to call a member function without binding an object? If yes,
No,
No, sir.
no,
No, sir.
why? No. Okay. Okay. So is it possible to call a member function within a member function without object binding? Is it possible to call a member function within a member function without object binding?
No, sir.
Yes or no? Is it possible to call a member function within a member function without object binding? The answer is yes, it is
Sir,
possible. It is
yes.
possible. Okay, so it is possible to call a member function within the member function without binding the object. Okay. Uh, I suggest all of you please be interactive. Okay, so I could also see the very limited number of students. There are many dropped outs. Only 35 have turned up. 34. And still 25 students have to join. Not 25. 35 students have to join. I think not 25. Okay, fine. Okay, so what I'm asking is it possible to call a member function? First of all, what is the difference between a member function and a general function?
Only the objects under that class can invoke a member function.
Only objects of that class can be invoked a member function. Fine, that is okay. What is the function?
And the member
Yeah, go ahead. You are saying something.
member functions must be defined using
Member functions must be
declared inside the class using access.
okay. So if you don't define any access specifier, the member function by default becomes which access specifier?
Private.
Yeah, private. It becomes private only. Okay. So assume that there is a class. So I'm just let me use some. Fine, it's okay. So assume that you have a class. Let us say you have a class A. Okay. So inside this class, you write the members as well as member function. Is the annotation is visible? So assume that you have some member function. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so assume that you have some member function. Now what I'm asking is it possible to define this member function, to write this member function, so that inside the member function you call another member function without object binding? The answer is yes, it is possible, because you will be using this member function mandatorily by binding an object. Okay. So first of all, what is the difference between a normal function versus a member function? Member function is a procedure, or it is a function which is declared inside the class. Simple. Member function is a function, or it is a procedure which is declared inside the class, inside the C++ class. Whereas a normal function, let us say a normal function, you have f of, okay. So a normal function don't have anything to deal with the class. So it's an independent entity and it is declared globally outside of the class. Okay, so it is declared outside the class. Now there exists some of the fundamental questions. One is, the first question is, I think, are you clear about the member function versus the general function? Let me again repeat. A member function is a function, or it is a procedure which is declared inside the class, whereas a generic function or a general function, don't use the word generic, because it reflects the meaning of template. Okay, so a common or a general function, is a one which is defined outside of the main, and it does not have any restrictions in terms of the declaration, in terms of accessibility of your function with the class. Okay, so this is difference number one. The second difference is, in order to use the general function, you can use directly without the objects. In main, in order to use this f, you don't have to define any objects. You can directly use f. Okay. But whereas in order to use the member functions can be invoked only by using objects that are created as the instances of your class. Okay, so these two differences must be written. Let me again repeat. A member function is a function whose declaration is inside the class, and a general function is a one whose declaration doesn't have any restrictions in terms of classes. So meaning the general function declaration will be outside of the class as a global. Okay. Now second difference is, in order to use the member function, you have to mandatorily use the object. In order to use a member function, you have to mandatorily declare or create an instance of your class which is called as an object. So using that object only you can use your member function, whereas anybody can use a function, a general function. So these are the two important notable differences that needs to be written if at all it is asked for 2 marks. Okay. Now syntactically, the third difference is you use the member access operator, which is dot, in order to invoke the member function, whereas there is no there is no member access operator for invoking your general function. Okay, so are these points are clear? Are these points are clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now assume that there is a requirement of passing objects to a general function. Now I am extending the questions. Assume that there is a requirement of passing an object as an argument to a function. How is it possible? Explain with an example. Let me repeat the question. Is it possible to write a general function to pass the objects of a specific class? If yes, how? Illustrate with example. If no, why? Justify the reason. Yes, what is the answer? Yes or no?
We can write by friend function.
Yeah, that is correct. So you have to use friend. Okay, so whenever there is a need to pass the objects as an argument, you have to define it as a friend. You can use space here. Okay. Yeah, fine here. Okay. So assume that there is a class. Assume that there is a class. Let us say class name is A. Okay. Then you have certain private variables. Maybe let me share the whiteboard. That will be much more convenient. Share the content. Chrome. Is the Chrome is visible? Is Chrome is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is annotation is also visible? Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So assume that under private access specifier, you have a variable, let us say int, probably int x. Let me use, typing will be much more faster than this. So assume that there is a class A. Okay, so under private access specifier, you have a variable, let us say int x. Then under public member function, so this is where you can write the member functions. Now the objective is, or the question is it possible, let Let's assume you have created two objects. Say the object A1, and then A2, two objects. Let us assume that you want to use some function, let us say fun of object A1. So if there is a need of passing an object as an argument to a function, then this is nothing but this cannot be a general function. Okay, instead, because you are giving the you are compromising the data privacy here. Whose data privacy? A1's data privacy. Instead, fun now must be defined as friend. So therefore, in order to fulfill this requirement, because there is only one argument, and since the function call says that it is returning nothing, so it is void. Okay, friend, probably fun. Okay, so if you are not changing it, then it is constant. Then you are talking about a ampersand semicolon. Okay, so this is how this can be asked for either 2 marks or 3 marks based on the complexity of the problem. Okay, so if there is a requirement of passing an object as an argument to a general function, you cannot use a general function unless and until you keep that function as a friend. Then only it is possible. Anybody has any other doubts? Okay, so let us discuss.
Sir,
Yeah, go ahead.
sir, friend function is also a member function, no, sir.
No. Friend is not a.
Because
Yeah, go ahead.
because it is inside the class, we should call it as a member function.
Here I would specify it depends on the context of the author. Okay, see, friend here is, in this example, you are talking about an object of class A. Okay, so assume that I'm using A1 and then A2. Okay, so then how many objects? Two objects. Now assume that I'm talking about A1 and then B1. Now assume that B1 is an object of the class B. Now here you are using the concept of a friend class. Yes or no? So in this example, you will have two classes, meaning class A and then again class B. Now if you say that your friend function is a member function, now will you be saying that the same friend function is a member function of two classes, class A and class B? So this is where, technically speaking, the answer is yes, it sits as if it is a member function, but execution wise, a friend cannot be binded, so therefore it is not a member function. Okay, so
Okay, sir.
execution wise, a friend cannot be binded to a specific object, so you cannot invoke your friend using somebody. Okay, so the technical notion of using the member function concept is, if at all you are using a structure member access operator, which is your object dot your function name, then this function name is said to be a member function. This is the definition. Okay, so since the friend function, we won't use the object followed by the structure member instance operator, which is dot. Okay, so technically this is not a member function. However, it sits as if it is a member function. So this is where some of the authors do consider this as a member function, but technically it is not. Okay, so you are compromising on the data privacy, right? Any other doubts? Any other doubts?
Inside a member function,
inside a member function.
If we want to pass an object as an argument to a function, we pass
Okay. Yeah, it is possible, but you are going too deep. Okay, so what you are asking is, assume that there is a member function. Let us say this is fun constant a. Okay, so probably let me take an alias. Let us say temp. Now what you are asking me is, if there exists inside the friend function, is it possible to call, let us say, fun2? Now this fun2, can this be a member function or can this be a generic function? Okay, or if this fun2 wants to pass an object, first of all, don't pass any object. Concentrate on your fun2 now. Now, is this a member function or is this fun2 has to be a generic function or both? Which is correct? Okay, so the answer is fun2 can be one, it can be a general function. It can be a general function, or it can be another friend, or it can be another friend, but it cannot be a member function. It cannot be a member function. Okay, fine. So let us go back to the questions. I think another point I forgot to mention. Okay, leaving about the friendship, assume that there is a function. Let us say a member function, function1. Okay, so with, let us say, no arguments. Now you have created an object a1. Now if you say a1 dot fun1 of, okay, now inside this, if I call another function, if I call another function, let us say fun2, now can this be a generic function? Can this be a generic function? Or this has to be, or this must be only a member function? Can this be a generic function? Can this be a member function? Or can this be either a generic function or a member function, or none of the above? Which is correct?
Only a member function.
Okay, generic function, what is the problem?
No arguments in that, no, sir. It cannot generic function. It cannot dot with the object same object.
No, you are entering in
Data is not accessible.
which, whose data is not accessible? And what
Object
Object
A1.
A1 object.
A1 object's data is not accessible. The point is, I don't want to pass, I don't want to tackle the data objects, the data of A1. A1's data is not important for me. For example, assume that fun2, I just want to say that what happens? Now what happens? Even if there is a need, I can pass the data also. What is the problem? For example, I can pass this arrow x or x. If I pass x, let us say this is int p, string, and then p. Then what happens? Shall we test it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. let us take up IOStream using namespace std. Let us say you have void fun2 of int p. Okay, int. This is your function prototype. Class name is a. Now private int x. Next is public. Now here I have, let us say, fun1 of void. So let me write cout testing1. I'll also print the value of x. The value of x is equal to, which is this arrow x. Okay. And then after this, I'll make a fun2 of. Initially, let us write a function without any argument and let us test whether this works. So void fun2 of void. This is a function definition. Now I'll write saying that this is testing2. Notice that I'm intentionally not passing the private data. Okay, so there must be a semicolon as far as the class definition is concerned, and then let us start.
We should set the x value.
No, let it be. We will set the x value later. First, let us technically understand whether it is possible or whether it is not possible. Fine. So setting the x value, fine. You want me to do, fine. That also we will do. So this is void set x. Let us say void again, and we will ask the user to enter the value of x. Enter the x value. Now, whatever he is entering, cn, let us accept that into x. Okay. Accessor I'm not writing. Now let us start creating an object a1. Let us start creating an object a1. Now what? I'll use a1 dot set x. Okay, so you are initializing the value. Let us say user has entered the value of x is equal to 2. Now before I return this process as true, I'll call function 1 as a1 dot. Okay, so this will invoke the line number 16. It will print the value of 2, and again this fellow will call fun2. Now fun2 is a general function. So technically, if you try to execute this, can somebody predict what is the output? Will you get testing 1 x, value of x as 2, or will you get the error?
Error.
Yeah, hopefully you will get the error. No error. So it is possible to call a general function inside a member function. A general function inside the member function. So let us enter the value 2. Then you are getting testing 1, x is equal to 2, and then testing 2. Okay. Let us pass the value of x and then handle that in fun2. What I will do is pass x, to be precise this arrow x. Okay, now here you accept that by using an alias, let us say int p. Now here you are accepting it as int, then inside fun2 you are printing p. Okay, comma p is equal to, so will you get 2 2? Fine, instead of this arrow x, let us pass fun2 of x. What will you get? Yes. So you are compromising the data privacy. This is how the data leaking is possible. So it is the job of a programmer to make ensure that if at all there is a requirement of passing it or calling a general function, such as an example which is illustrated in front of you. Okay, so notice that at line number 19, though you have taken care programmatically and language selection option wise that you are using the notion of classes and you are talking about the data privacy, there is a likelihood that you can corrupt the data. So now let us also demonstrate how the corruption is possible. So what I'll do is I'll pass the address. Okay, so I'll pass the address and then I'll access that address by using int star. Whatever changes that I do will reflect in my main. Yes or no? Yes or no? Main means it is nothing but inside the class. Now here let me write the accessor and then let me show you that the corruption is possible. Okay, so set then get the value of x. Can somebody respond whether I am audible?
So
Out. So let me write the value of x. Value of x is equal to. Now let me repeat the question. What I am trying to demonstrate here is it possible? Is it possible that after after creating a class in a C++ environment, is it possible to still corrupt the data? The answer is yes, it is possible. So I'm demonstrating how. How is it possible? It is possible if there exists, that there are two cases. It's possible. Case number one. Okay, case number one is if you call a general function and if you hand over the address of your x, you hand over the address of your private variable x. Okay, then now inside the inside the general function, let us change the value of p to 3. Intentionally doing it as 3. Okay, so during the execution time, I am executing with x is equal to 2. So what I'll do is before calling fun1, after setting the x, let me call set get the value of x. So you will get 2. After calling fun1, okay, you will get a1 as 3. Hang on a minute. You will get an error or you will get the no, you will not get any error.
in line number 29, we didn't
Number
mention this
29,
arrow
fine.
x, sir. This arrow x.
Yeah, fine. We'll write x. No problem. Okay. Okay. So let us compile this. I'm entering 2. I'm corrupting x. Okay. So one has to be very careful, specifically when you deal with a general function inside a member function as a function call. Here. we are discussing little deep in terms of functions, but this makes sense because you talk about the data privacy, and if there exists a function which is a general function that needs to be handled or that needs to be tackled, you have to carefully pass. Okay, so how do you avoid it? To avoid this, don't pass references, pass only the values, meaning x. So then you will not get any data corruption problem. Or make ensure that whichever functions you are passing the data, they are not changing your data, meaning you use constant. Strictly make ensure that to whichever methods you are passing, they are using constant int star. Then you will get a error in line number 9. You will get an error in line number 9. Even if you are passing the address of x, you will get the error in line number 9. So let's test it. Because you are making an attempt to change, yeah, so you'll get error. Assignment of read-only location star p. Okay, this is how the policies can be cross-verified wherever you are passing the private data members. Okay,
Sir,
go ahead.
once
Yes.
check once make the fun2 as a member function, sir.
Okay. Then again, you want to keep this constant as as it is, or you want to change?
No, sir. Just for checking, it is means we are calling a member function inside a member
Inside a
function
member
without the
function.
object
Okay,
binding.
without an object binding. Fine. That also let us test it. So what I'll do is I'll retain without the qualifier, without this, maybe with only alias. Okay. So without this, only alias. Now we are printing. Now you want me this to be maintained. So I cannot define a prototype. So here inside public, there is another member function. Probably I'll write this after fun1. Okay. So what are you doing? You are okay. So you are calling fun2 of x, and then this is void here. So let us initially not print any value.
Take place, no, sir.
Hmm?
Object binding.
No, not necessary. That's what I'm saying. Fun2, there is no need of object binding because let me again remove this setx. Getx is not required. Fine, let it be. Getx is there. Fine. a1.fun1 and then a1.getx. Fine. So what is the scenario now? You are setting the value of x first. Assume that the value of x is set here. So you are setting the value of x as 2. So at line number 34, the value of x, which is a1's x, is 2. And at line number 35, you will again print 2. Now in 36, you are passing a1.fun1, which is nothing but inside this. So you will get the value again as 2. And again, you are calling fun2. Notice that fun2 will now become member function only. Okay. And notice that you are not calling this member function fun2 again by using the object binding, because you are inside fun1 because of a1 dot fun1, you are already there. So when you are making a function call in fun1, it is implied that fun2 is also getting called by binding the object which is a1. So inside fun2, the data of a1 is also now accessible. Okay, so let us execute this. So if I execute this, what I'll get is I'll get initially 2. Okay, Okay, because you are getting the value, and then when you are calling fun1, then you will get testing1. Okay, so in testing1 you will get 2 again, then you will get testing2, again you will get the value of x as 2. So let me enter 2. Okay, so the value of x is 2, testing1, testing2. Now here there is another interesting observation. Before I proceed, anybody has any doubts? Now it is clear that if you are writing a member function, if you are calling a member function within a member function, if you are calling a member function, which is line number 13, within a member function, which is line number 10, there is no need of object binding. There is no need of object binding. Okay. Anybody has any doubts, any points to make here?
Sir,
Yes.
sir, in this case, how the processor is working, sir? Without we are doing a member function and a general function with the same
No. I'll tell you how. Because see, what is class? Class is A. Inside the class, how many member functions are there? Fun1 and fun2. So compiler, it's not about the processor. Compiler will blindly treat fun1 and fun2 as two different member functions. Doesn't care what is there inside the logic. That is point number 1. Okay. Now function invocation will happen only at the runtime. So as far as compilation process is going on, fun1 is a separate member function, fun2 is a separate member function. Means it is expected that either fun1 or fun2 has to be invoked mandatorily by binding an object. Okay, so that is the rule that the compiler will will understand as far as fun1 and fun2 are concerned. Okay, when it is parsing in main, again in the compiler, are you calling fun2? No. Therefore, compiler will not throw any errors. Okay, because you are not calling fun2. Now, compiler will be compiling this code without any bugs, without any errors, and then it will allow you to execute the program. Now, at runtime, what will happen? It will, at line number 36, it is calling the member function fun1. Now, inside fun1, okay, you are already inside fun1 because of whom? Because of a1. Sir, no. That is at line number 36. Because of a1, you are inside fun1. Okay. Now inside fun1, you are not terminating fun1. You are calling another function which is fun. But now compiler already knows that fun2 is also a member function. Okay. So because of whom you are inside fun1? Because of a1. So with a1 only he will enter in fun2. That means in fun2, when you are jumping, there is a stack push operation. It jumps to fun2. Okay, and then it will print test2. Now if I print, if I write the value of x also, so notice that I am not passing the value of x here in fun2, but the value of x will be treated as 2 only. Okay, and then once the fun2 is completed, then it pops back in fun1. Okay, and then again it returns back to main. Right? So in testing 2, in this scenario, when you write x is equal to, so here also you will get the answer as 2. Clear? Now notice that if I change the value of x in fun2, meaning what I'll do is x is equal to, let us say I'll make it as 3. Then after testing 2, I'll get 3. And again, when you are making a1.getx, you'll again get 3. you have to follow the execution, the flow of execution. Okay, so am I clear? Am I clear? Anybody has any other doubts? Am I clear? Can somebody come in?
Sir.
Am I clear? Okay, fine. Now next is assume that.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, if we have two instances like AA1 and AA2, if we call
Okay, AA1 and AA2.
one,
No, I couldn't.
if we call a member function with A1,
If we call a member function with A1, okay.
A1, inside that fun1 we call A2 dot fun2, sir.
I couldn't able to make out it.
Instance
It's completely breaking.
function with instance data.
I couldn't able to hear anything. Did any other student has understood his question? Can somebody repeat the question? What is being asked? There is another object A2, and then what? Let us assume
Inside the fun, sir,
inside a.
is inside the fun1 function, if we call a2 dot fun2, it will work, or he's asking.
Illegal. How can you
Okay.
call A2 here? Because the compiler itself will give you error, because where are you defining A2? A2 you are defining in main, or you are defining A2, or you are creating an object A2 in fun1. Okay, so
Defining in main
As
and
an
passing
argument, sir.
and
defining where? I cannot hear anything.
In main
Defining in main, okay.
and passing while function 1 is calling.
Oh, you are passing while function 1.
A2.
That means what?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me a1 dot set x. Okay, a1 dot get x. Then in a1 dot
A1 dot
1 of
1 1
a2,
8
you
A2.
are passing
Yes, sir.
a2. Then it is illegal. Then it is legal. It is valid.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Anyway, let us not dig too much deeper. Now, let me take up some of the other questions. For example, is it possible to write a C++ function to print the write a C++ function to print the array by using recursion? Assume that you are asked to print, write a C++ API to print an array using recursion. Yes, how do you do this? Before that, please focus on the questions, other questions. If other questions are clarified, then only it makes sense in discussing these additional logics. Okay, so are you comfortable in drawing the flowcharts and algorithms? Writing the algorithms and drawing the flowcharts? Yes? Yes or no? Am I audible? Hello? Okay. Flowcharts and algorithms, any specific question you want me to take and repeat? If not, go through the other questions. What is the difference between a member function and generic function? This we have discussed. Inline. Then what is a conditional operator, a ternary operator? Yeah, what are bitwise operators? What are logical, relational, and unary operators? I hope all this are clear, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Can somebody specify what are the logical operators? Let me take up randomly. There are 42 students now. Okay. So those who have joined, please make ensure that you are dropping your roll number. You are dropping your roll number in the chat box. I'm not going to send any additional questions for attendance. Drop your roll numbers on the chat box. Okay, fine. So can somebody specify what are the bitwise operators? Let me call Venkatesh is there, 59, absent. Okay. Next, Sneha, 47, absent. Samuel, can you tell what are the various bitwise operators? Samuel, can you please come in? What are the various bitwise operators? Yes? Anybody else? Anybody else? What are the various bitwise operators? One is bitwise AND, second is bitwise OR, third is bitwise XR, fourth is
Right shift, left shift.
right shift, and then left shift. Please note, don't do mistakes here. I'm re-emphasizing, don't do mistakes here. These are very easy questions and you have to be very careful. This is not address operator. This is AND. Okay, so you take you take an example with simple numbers, probably int a and then b. Initialize a with maybe some value, let us say 21, and b with some other value, and then try to evaluate AND or XOR, right shift and left shift. Now, what are the various logical operators? Yes, anybody?
Logical and
Logical and
Logical AND means double, and then logical OR. So these are used in order to concatenate or combine multiple conditions. If you want to check condition 1 as well as condition 2 as well as condition 3 and so on up to n conditions, and if all conditions are true, if you want to execute, then you have to use logical AND. On the other hand, if any of the condition is true, if you want to execute, then you have to use logical OR operators. Now, what are relational operators? Yes, Monish, can you tell roll number 10? What are the various relational operators?
Sir, in logical one, not equals to that also, no, sir.
Not equal to is
Logically not.
logically not also, that is correct. Fine, that also you can write. And also bitwise also you can write, because it comes as a ones complement. Not but maximum you avoid this. No need to write. These two are compulsory. Okay. Maunish, are you there? Absent. Maunish, absent. Okay, can somebody specify what are the various relational operators?
Comparing one, sir. Less than, not equal to, greater than, not equal to.
Less than,
Greater
not
than,
equal
equal to, less than, less than equal to, greater than equal to.
Less than, one is greater than, second is less than, then you have
Less than equal to.
greater than or equal to, and then less than or equal to, and then double equal to,
Not equal to.
and not equal to. Okay, so those are called as relational operators. Then what are unary operators? What are unary operators?
Plus plus, minus minus.
Yeah, plus plus, minus minus, and then size of is also unary, and then unary minus, and then new is also is a unary operator. You can operate or you can apply only on one operand. So size of, so these are very important. So don't do any mistakes specifically in operators, because these are in fingertips. This has to be in fingertips. Okay.
Sir, bitwise not is also a unary operator.
That also unary operator also can be written, but better not to write that, because the context,
Yes, sir.
as I said, it could be a bitwise, it could be a logical, it could be a unary. Okay. Plus,
Okay, sir.
minus, and then unary minus, and then size of, and then memory reference operator, which is star, is also is a unary operator. Okay. Then if you are asked to write what are the various assignment operators, then you can write equal to, plus equal to, minus equal to, and all other things. Okay. So these are all different assignment operators. And one has to remember about the precedence. First is multiplicative and then additive. Execution is from left to right. Okay. Is my voice is audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And please go through yesterday's class, which I have put to EC section C. I think I have posted it. Did anybody has watched it? I think I discussed something related to flowcharts, how to draw the flowcharts, specifically how to draw the flowchart for recursive logics. Okay, so how to draw a flowchart for GCD of given two numbers. I have taken that as an example using recursion, and then we have discussed how to draw the flowcharts. So I advise, please go through the YouTube recorded lecture of the yesterday's class, which I have hosted to EC sections C. Okay. Now, I think I asked some other question, I forgot. Okay, I think the time is also up. If you have any specific other doubts, you are welcome to raise. By today, I think I can close Unit 1 so that we can move to Unit 2. Okay, so if anybody has any other doubts, all of you make ensure that you are dropping your roll numbers in the chat box so that I can consolidate. And anybody has received any circular in terms of classes? Because I didn't receive any. Yes, anybody has received?
No, sir.
No. Okay. So I think the cases are getting increased, so don't unnecessarily go outside. Okay, so take care of your health. And the monsoon season also has started. Okay, so take care of your health. So if there are no questions, I'll make a move, I'll sign out. Okay.